recording on our YouTube channel. Then I will introduce our speaker of the day. Our speaker of the day. Our speaker of the day is Dr. Rhoda Auni, who is the current career coordinator at Kisii University and a senior lecturer. She has 10 years experience as a secondary school teacher, has a Bachelor of Education Arts from Kenyatta University. She holds she has a master's degree on counseling psychology from Maseno University, and now a daktari from Kisii University on educational psychology. And we are glad to have you here today, Daktari. And I'm looking forward as you unpack on matters mental health and as the members join in to learn. Thank you so much and karibu. Let me just unmute you so that you can continue. Karibu daktari.
Okay, thank you so much, Rehema Achieng. We have 44 participants in total. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to believe that this is going to be a very rich session. Just mute me for a minute. I quieten my environment.
Yeah, so we welcome all the participants. I've seen we have participants from the globe. The world is a global village. I've seen you have somebody, Kyokushaba, Rebecca, I think that's from Uganda or Rwanda. And everyone who has joined us today. We are very grateful that you've taken your time to be with us here today. Asante. Oh, asante is thank you. Then you can tell us at the chat box your name, your location, your professional background, and what's your understanding of mental health, and what is your objective for attending this webinar. And I hope all the objectives that we have today will be met. You can also ask questions in the chat box. The speaker will respond to them after she's done sharing the slides. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. So we can continue. I was asked to speak about mental wellness, and I know that this is not a new topic for many of us, but as much as it's not a new topic for many of us, it's a discussion that must always continue. I thought I admitted. Okay. So thank you so much, Achieng Rehema, for giving me this opportunity to talk about mental wellness. And I know that a lot of us have interacted with mental wellness, but again, you will discover that this is a discussion that can never be put to rest. It is something that will always continue because this is one particular aspect of our health. A human being has very many other faculties. We have the physical faculty that you keep seeing. You see me, I can see. And we have the mental faculty and the social faculty. So it's part and parcel of a human being faculty. And therefore, There's no particular time that we can reach and say that this is enough of this particular talk. And so I'm really excited that we have this particular talk. I think this mentorship program is good, and the topics that you have shared on the webinars, if you've been a faithful attendee, are enrichful to you. And I believe that as you continue to be productive and interact with colleagues and youthful mates, you will discover that you will never remain the same, because opportunity normally meets preparedness. And it's good to be prepared in very many sectors, in the social sectors, spiritual sector, and mental sector. All these things work together to form who you are. So I want to share with us the art of mental wellness. And for me, this is the concern that as much as you're talking about mental wellness, then the opposite of it is mental illness. And mental wellness is not the concern. Actually, basically, that is what our desired goal is. But now the opposite is mental illness. So what is the concern about mental health? You find that mental illness affects 19% of the adults. This is according to WHO, and 46% of the teenagers, and 13% of children each year. And so, even as we're sharing this, we need to open up our understanding, and even be motivated to find out more. And as much as possible, you'll find that people struggling with their mental health may be in just your family, they may be living next door, they may be sitting in your class, they may be sitting in your workplace, they could be anywhere. And so, again, research has it that 1 out of 10 people could be struggling with severe mental illness at any time. So if you count 10 people near you, you can always start with you, and maybe one of you, it could be you, it could be me, severe mental illness. And underline the word severe. So it means that when talking about mental health, you find that we can be talking about mild, moderate, and even severe, based on what we are going to learn today, and even continue learning after this particular session, or what we have learned even before this particular session. Now, it is very easy for you to know when you are physically sick. For example, if you have hurt your leg, if you're feeling maybe some stomach ache, it's easy for you to even go to the doctor and say, I'm having some stomach ache. It's even easy for you to medicate yourself. If you have a headache or a migraine, it's easy for you to go to get painkillers and talk about it. But again, something strange about mental illness, and that is what's supposed to be our concern, is that even the people in our family, even us, may never realize that we have some mental illness. We never realize that. And because of that, very few people end up receiving treatment. A lot of us may not be able to receive treatment. And often because of this, the stigma that is attached to the mental health. And many people confuse mental illness for madness and maybe mental disordered cases only. I want to bring to our attention that we do not have to reach that kind of level for us to be mentally ill. And that is why we are talking about mild, moderate, and severe. And untreated mental illness now contributes to serious issues, serious medical issues. If we continue postponing the illness, you find that at the end of the day, we get to be very unproductive. But again, there could be a lot of other things like depression and even suicide. If you just check out, for example, in the world today, whether you are in Uganda or in Kenya, you see the rates that have increased of late in terms of suicide and completion of suicide. A lot of people do not just commit, but also complete suicide. And this is cut across. We have it in the youths, we have it in the adults, we have it in the old age, and very scaring cases. And when you look at the social media, you'll keep seeing this. And a lot of these cases are even sometimes put on social media by the same people who are sick. And sometimes we judge them. Sometimes we think that they could have tried more or better, or could have sought for help. And that is why I'm saying that this is a very important discussion that we must continue talking about these things, and we must interrogate, and I hope we'll have time to even ask questions and even be able to ask ourselves, how much are we doing at a particular, at my level? Everybody has a role to play in this because you're a human being. And just like you have some physical health, you have some mental health. And so we have a role to play at our different levels, and the concern must be, my concern must be your concern when it comes to matters mental health. I would love to say that we need to look at what is this causing mental illness, because then we're talking about mental wellness, we want to be fine, but we have to do a diagnosis and find out what is this that causes mental illness. Anytime you hear about mental illness, what is it equal to? This simply means that there's some excessive stress. So we need to understand the stress. That's why my topic today is the art. How do we, the skill, the techniques that we can use to be able to manage the mental wellness? What techniques do we need? Because techniques are learned, skills are learned. And so excessive stress is normally equal to mental illness. And so what is stress basically? This is a normal reaction the body has when changes occur and results to physical, emotional, intellectual responses. And our physical and mental and emotional faculties are in danger when you experience excessive stress and when stress is not dealt with appropriately. But then let's understand stress, because stress management training is meant to help us deal with the changes in a healthier way, leading to mental wellness. So all of us need to understand that we can deal with these particular changes in a healthier way, underline in a healthier way. We can deal with it because we can deal with it in a healthy manner. When you are undergoing excessive stress, you can deal with that in a healthy manner. And a healthy manner simply means that you are harming yourself, you are harming other people around you. And at some point, I'll also talk about how do people deal with stress in an unhealthy way, even as we look at the healthy way, so that we can move from the unhealthy to the healthy way in terms of mental wellness. So before that, did you know that stress is a normal human reaction that happens to everyone? That the human body is designed to experience stress and react to it. So even if you decide not to wake up tomorrow, even if you decide to just stay in your house, somehow you will find that you experience some stress. And I'm calling it a normal human reaction. So you are responding to issues, responding to the environment, responding to needs. Any human being has needs. You have basic needs, the ones that you must do. You need to eat, for example, the basic needs that are attached to you. Like you need to live somewhere in some secured environment. You need to relieve yourself. There are basic needs that you need to go through. And then there are basic needs. There's a second basic category needs, like you want to get some money, and so you need to work, and you need to accomplish this and that. You need to dress yourself. And so there are all those categories of basic needs. These things sometimes cause stress to us. Then there are relationships. They cause stress to us. So as we continue to live as human beings, you'll discover that this stress is a normal reaction. As you respond to this, when you're able to accomplish your needs, you'll find that it may not cause anxiety. But when you're not able to accomplish needs, or if you're faced with some need and you find you can't just accomplish it in in an easy way, you'll experience some anxiety. This is what you're calling stress. And so, and when you experience these challenges, our body will always produce some physical and mental responses. So you can always imagine each and every day, my body and your body produces some physical and mental responses to the stresses that you're going through. I remember actually I was sharing with some where the source of your body responds to it in the same measure. And so it would be very careful for us to know the sources of stresses. But before we go that, we need to differentiate between good stress and bad stress. So that we don't start just talking about stress. So we move from a level whereby we can know that this is good stress and this is bad stress, because stress is not necessarily bad all the time. And therefore, what we call the good stress is known as eustress. And this is important. Think about you sitting for an exam tomorrow. you'll experience some anxiety. This anxiety is what will make you sit down or even lose sleep or even stop going out for a walk or even switch on the music as you concentrate on what you're reading. This anxiety feeling is what we call the eustress. It's good stress. Think about you winning a green card and you're preparing to move out of this country to wherever, and you feel like you can't sleep, you lose sleep, you feel like, wow, butterflies in the stomach, and you are even sometimes even worried. So what would happen when I land the other side, and things like that. It is still stress, but it is good stress. And so eustress is good. And without eustress, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to be productive. We're just going to be there because you'll be numb. So it is this eustress that actually energizes us and motivates us to make a change. So anytime you are feeling anxiety, just ask yourself, is this good stress or is this bad stress? Because when we don't know the differences, that is when now our vulnerability begins. So as youthful as you are, know that there's what we call the good stress. And always, you can always have a note where you can write, I'm feeling stressed, because we talk about how to manage stress. And one of the ways we talk about is assessment. I'm feeling stressed, then you can say, this is eustress, eustress, eustress. I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, this is eustress. And then I'm feeling like this is now not eustress. So what is now not eustress is called distress. It's the bad stress. It affects us negatively. And this distress is what, if not handled well, ends us into depression. Eustress cannot take us to depression unless our body mechanisms are a little bit vulnerable. But distress does. The reason why eustress cannot take us there, it's because unless we're having a condition, like I've had people who have received good news and they're, I've heard about them and collapsed because of good news. Those are rare conditions. But many times you'll find that it's the bad stress that takes us to those ends of depression, and depression is now a disease. And it is not something that you can easily treat, and it has to be diagnosed. So don't keep saying, I'm depressed. You normally just use these words, and sometimes I just think they are demonic. You need to know that depression is a disease, and rarely use it, that I am feeling so depressed, because depression is a disease. And if you look, and even if you Google the symptoms of depression, you'll be surprised at how much you can run away from that particular word. And so you can use distress. I say, I'm distressed because there's something that is negatively affecting you. You're feeling some form of anxiety. You're responding to something and you're feeling so anxious and it's negatively affecting you. Like it doesn't, because of that thing, you're no longer happy. You are, we look at those symptoms and you begin to understand that there's eustress and then there's distress. And then I also want to share with us about, of course, eustress is short-term. It's perceived as within our coping abilities, like I've explained. It improves performance. Actually, people who experience eustress time and again can achieve a lot because they feel like, I need to accomplish this, I need to accomplish that, I need to accomplish, and sometimes because of that, they are able to move. People who feel low level of eustress normally are slow in terms of achievement because you are just there. Nothing is pushing you to, if you have exams tomorrow, you say, yeah, I'll wake up and read. Or you're like, I'm supposed to travel. It's 20 minutes to traveling. I will just travel. Such kind of people often are not very good performers. But people who experience high level of stress achieve a lot because they're always on their toes. They will be up and even ready for whatever task, or redo and redo a task until they're able to get it right because they are not at peace. And when they achieve, now they're able to be at peace. Distress, on the other hand, causes anxiety or concern. It can be short or long term because some things that we experience can be very short term. Like you are in conflict with somebody over something, it can be short term. After some time, you just reconcile and you move on. And it's perceived as outside of our coping abilities. Sometimes we feel what we feel because it's not within our coping abilities. It's very unpleasant. Distress is unpleasant and decreases performance. When you're distressed, you just close. You may lose appetite. And even when some people are opposite, like under distress, now they are doing this and doing that. It's not, they may not perform because they're not doing it with the concentration and the honesty. They're just doing it as a defense mechanism. But normally you find that it decreases performance. People who are distressed, have very, very high levels of underperformance, and it can lead to mental and physical problems. So that now you know the differences. So let me talk about the sources of stress, because we're looking at mental ill health, and mental ill health, you have said, is equal to excessive stress. So what causes mental ill health? There are very many reasons, and today I want to skip away the biological. We also have the biological reasons. So by the way, there are sometimes hormonal imbalances and other, chemical imbalances in our bodies can cause us mental illness, and those are rare cases. I want to address what we experience and what the youth experiences time and again that may cause mental illness in their families. You get out one out of maybe even 500 cases whereby the cause is biological or chemical, imbalances that can cause that. But many of it are from the following. Number one, we have what we call the individual sources. Remember that mental illness, as you respond to the world, in terms of meeting your needs, in terms of socializing with others, in terms of self-actualization, you discover that sometimes you experience a lot of anxiety, and especially if these needs are not met appropriately and in time. And so what are these sources of stress? Number one, we have what we call the individual sources. Like, for example, the family and relationships. A lot of youths today are experiencing mental illness courtesy of the families which they come from. And ladies and gentlemen, we do not choose families which we are born in. We can choose what to marry or who to stay with, but not where we are born. And so even at that level, we will see how do we handle this. But remember that family can be a source of stress. They are disjointed families. Sometimes you find that you are being raised up in a family, siblings that have been raised up to just be conflict. Sometimes father and mother who are separating and divorcing, or in violence, emotionally, physical. Sometimes family could be in terms of maybe the extended families. And some of these things can cause us a lot of mental distress, because as you keep on living in conflict and incongruence, you'll discover that you experience anxiety time and again, but also relationships. And most of you, I believe I'm talking to a lot of youths, and some of you are just into relationships or just getting into relationships. You are that particular developmental stage whereby you are unconsciously making friends and you are unconsciously searching for partners. And some of you have just settled in with partners, and some of you are just now learning to live with their partners. And those relationships and are actually sometimes a source of mental illness. You are fine alone, but now that you are relating, you are now feeling even sick. It becomes a toxic relationship. And relationship do not leave you the way they found you. They will move you to some level, either positively or negatively, because they are ships. They are ships. From the word relationships, they are ships. They move from one place to another. So you'll find that sometimes they move you negatively. A lively person, a person who's just doing their own things and just a happy soul, after a relationship can turn out to be a bitter person, distorted, unproductive, and even raged, just because of interacting with another person. So be watchful. And we'll be talking about some of those things in terms of how do we now manage. We're just talking about the sources so that you can evaluate yourself and see, is my family giving me this? Is my source of mental illness courtesy of the relationships in my life? And relationships, by the way, are not necessarily intimate. Plus and including the girlfriends and the boyfriends at another level of acquaintanceship can cause you distress. Just the relationship. These are my friends, these are my boyfriends, my buddies. Those guys and girls in your contact can cause you distress. And so it's not about just the intimate. But today, look at how intimate is causing severe distress to entire families, not only to a victim, but also to the entire families. Relationships have ended people in grave. Relationships have ended people in prison. Relationships have ended people in deserts. So think about it. Then we have the personality disposition. Sometimes because of personalities, we can be very, very sick mentally. Like, for example, if you are excessively choleric, like you want things to be done and you want them done now. And you see, personality is basically how you are raised up, plus included what is it that you have inherited from your family. And so if you are this particular personality that sometimes even the excesses of a particular given personality, it doesn't, you don't need to be choleric to be mentally ill. Sometimes even if you just surpass a little bit of melancholy, you can be a mentally ill person because you want order. You can't stand a disorder. You can't stand anything that can go wrong. So you are on the extreme, and any extreme of a personality actually is a source of mental illness because you can't stand other people. You don't understand why they're behaving the way they're behaving. You don't even understand why they're not getting your point of view. So sometimes it's the excesses of or the extreme of our personalities that can cause us mental illness. Because even if you're phlegmatic, you're quiet, introverted, fine, you're a pleasant person. But when it is extreme again, you find that you can be absorbing so many things and they're not showing, you're not giving them out, you're just taking. When it is too full, you'll come out with rage. So those things can actually also because you're not outgoing, you don't express emotions, you don't share. So the extremism of our personalities, and that is what we'll be saying, check out, who are you? Do you know who you are? And then, of course, the life choices and the decisions. Some of us have made choices for ourselves, and the consequences have cost us to the ward, ICU of mental illness because of the choices we made. The men and women we have chosen for ourselves, the kind of places we have chosen to live in, the kind of people we have chosen to interact with, sometimes even the websites that we have logged into, the groups that we are members, those are life choices. The decisions we make daily can make us sick and sick and sick, or can make us well. The decisions even on what to watch, like what am I watching on TikTok, on Instagram, for example, on Facebook, that is a decision that you make. And every little decision contributes to our mental wellness or our mental illness. Now you know. And so we have also personal goals. The personal goals we have, and I love that I'm interacting with the youth today. I hope I'll be able to get some time for us to talk, because when you're talking about personal goals, sometimes our personal goals are the ones that are causing us mental illness. Today, I was so lucky to have one of my I would say mentee come to visit me in the office, and we are talking about the personal goals. We are reviewing the personal goals, because sometimes if you don't have this kind of people called mentors to review the personal goals, you find that the goals you've set for yourself are so abnormal, but you can't see that. It takes another person to say, slow down. Can you calm down and let us again look at the goals that are in your life? Because some of the goals we have set for ourselves are not even tolerable in the society. They are extreme, and sometimes we feel this must be achieved, and we end up in ICU of the mental illness bed. So we also have health issues, which I don't want to zero in to, but remember that we could be having health issues, health conditions, and yet we are not like maybe responding to them through medication or even congruence. So sometimes I have seen even the youth who are living with some health conditions, as they continue to grow, they sort of live in congruence. They don't want to accept that I have this particular condition which I must manage, I must be able to live with. And because of that, sometimes it causes us to be ill, to distress. And so we have to check out on that. And then we have the losses. We have losses. People have experienced losses, deaths, for example, of a beloved one, loss of a relationship, loss of an internship, opportunity, jobs, loss of friends. Those losses, sometimes we just say, I will heal. Time will tell, or time will heal. But then we end up or remain very, very sick because of attachment issues. So then, of course, the loss of a beloved one is something that causes us to go through grief, and that can cause us mental illness. I've experienced clients who have ended up in depression because of loss of a beloved one. And sometimes when they don't mourn properly, sometimes maybe you come from a place whereby when somebody dies, you're busy making dress and making tents and making food, and you never take time to mourn. And then there's burial. Then after that, now you can't cope. And now, because people have gone, people cannot continue staying with you just because you've lost your father or mother or brother or sister. Now people have gone, and now you're alone and you can't face it. And then the real mourning begins. And now you are stuck in loss and grief. I have seen people get depressed because of losses, like not able to go through the mourning period properly with support systems. So losses, remember, can also be a source of stress. And then we have the environmental sources. So you have the individual sources, the ones that come from you, and those can cause you mental illness. But you also have the environmental sources. The environmental sources, like economic factors, sometimes life can be so strenuous, and especially for you who is transiting just from campus to workplace. Before you finally settle down to a job that is able to sustain you, you'll discover that there could be a lot of economic factors. There are days you wake up and you start looking for that 1 shilling that you place somewhere, or that 50 bob. You start even looking at the pockets of all your jackets and see whether you can be able to get a 50 bob, because times are hard and money is rare and things are expensive. And so sometimes even traveling and taking care of ourselves and just being able to have a meal and even being able to pay our rents can cause us a lot of mental illness. And of course, political factors, as we get into the political season, be aware. A lot of people perish and get ill because of political alienation. And so you find somebody is a diehard of a particular, there's zero in to a particular system and they just remain there. And of course, societal pressure. Sometimes the pressure that you compare other people with you and say, oh, this one is married, oh, they have a beautiful daughter, oh, they have a job and I don't have. Or sometimes the parents are the ones who are asking you, Bana, we took you to school, how comes you're still here? You need to get out there and get yourself a job or get yourself a life. And some of you already are out of campus, out maybe the job sector or maybe just in college, but you are already looked up to by parents as potential family sustainers. So they want this money and they want that money and they want this particular act to be done, and that can cause a lot of distress. And if you are not careful, you don't know how to handle it, you can end up ill. There is the pressure also on your thinking you are late, I have tarmacked for long, I am thinking I should be here, not here, those kind of things. Then there's technology related. A lot of youths are getting ill because of the social media, the negative effect of social media. People are getting more lonely because social media makes you lonely. Like you are just laughing at your phone, laughing because you're watching TikTok, and sometimes you even find yourself in sites that everything that comes on social media is negative and painful. Remember, we are feeders. We feed. The way you feed your mouth with food is the way we feed our eyes with information and feed the brain. And so sometimes when you feed a lot of painful information, we come out painful. Like we result into painful pain. So sometimes on social media, we're just feeding on painful things. You scroll like this, somebody has cut another one's shoulder. You scroll like this, another one has posted that bury me with my phone. You scroll like this, another one has posted another body found where. So this is what you're feeding. Remember, this is making you more emotionally unstable, like emotionally in a platform of violence. You feel angered. You feel like if I found the people who are doing this, I could easily kill them. You're already angered. You're reacting because you're like, who can do? Why is this one happening? Why did this one do this? And you're feeling like very, very angered. Sometimes even the responses on those platforms, as you read messages, can actually change who you are. Of course, technology makes us lonely because sometimes it is the one that is soothing us to sleep. And as we wake up in the morning, it is waking us up. So you're on your phone to midnight, you're on your phone from 4 a.m. So you and your phone and you on social media, it's a big, big, big source of mental illness. You go to sleep and the last things in your mind, because when we come to sleep, the things in the unconscious move to the conscious because the defense mechanisms are lowered. So whatever we have consumed during the day will actually come to our conscious. So we are dreaming horrible things, and this is affecting us. And of course, we have the cultural religious factors. If you're watching even television yesterday, you saw some people who are actually salvaged from a particular hideout, and they were dying slowly, like the Shakahola thing. But then they were even defending themselves. Like, why are you concerned? This is my life. So sometimes our cultural beliefs and even religious beliefs, telling some of the sons and daughters in campus where we pray that do not find a church that teaches Jesus. Sometimes we find men of God and women of God. So I pack my bag here. I'm going to Ghana to look for a servant of God. And I'm packing my bag and I'm putting my Bible in the bag. So I'm carrying the word of God to go and look for a man. It beats logic. But unless God gives you that kind of revelation, you find that you can end up in any religion. As you want to satisfy your needs, you want a job so bad. Somebody tells you, go to Mozambique. There's a man of God who gives handkerchiefs. Just come and walk with it in the pocket. When you go to the interview, you'll get a job. You'll do that. Somebody says, go to Sudan. You will do it. You go anywhere. So sometimes our needs, because of our vulnerability, we end up into situations whereby we are mentally distressed and even mentally ill because of the religious factors, the belief systems we have, and then the behavior patterns. Some of us have already got into indulgence, drink kidogo here and there, doing drugs, or behavior patterns, having so many sexual partners, sometimes even in the process of saying, let me have many because practice makes perfect, or even choosing, I need to have like 4 men, so that when I'm choosing, a husband, I can compare, those are behavior patterns, perverse behavior patterns that actually cause us mental distress. Because now you do not know how many men you're operating with in your life as you try to choose the best one out of the 4, or vice versa, the women out of the 4. Behavior patterns, the partying and all those kind of things. Partying is good, but when it's not moderated, when we're living on the edge, like you are on debts, some of us behavior patterns could be gambling. It has caused people to commit and complete suicide. So behavior patterns could be things that we love to do, the day-to-day things that we love to do, and sometimes we live on the edge. So somebody is into so many loans. You have taken loans from all the apps that can exist on Google until you're asking Google, what other app can give you loan? So you are always in loans, yet you have no source of income. And these behavior patterns can cause us distress. A lot of these factors combine themselves, this and that, to actually end us into depression. And of course, we have this one I'll not focus on so much, because also some of us, I know we are really into internship and working, and we have volunteering. And remember that there are other sources of stress that you can be dealing with, which we call organizational. Like, for example, your job. What is your job like? When you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep, can you feel yourself? Can you feel you? Or sometimes the kind of job that you have is the source of stress. Shouting and quarreling managers and employers, and weird working times, and high expectations that you cannot even meet, jobs that are not congruent to what you can perform, or even your study. Those things can cause a lot of stress. And then, of course, the work families. Who do you work with? Every other day, if you go to work, whether you're volunteering, whether you're on job, whether you are on internship, you work with a family. Those work families, by the way, can be the greatest source of your mental distress, depending on who they are. So you need to know that you're working with people. So what will we do in terms of managing this kind of families? And then, of course, the changes in the work system. Sometimes they cause a lot of distress. Societal expectations. Now that you are out there, now that you're a youth, you're supposed to be out there, maybe fending for yourself. What are people expect? People ask you, and especially you find that women, youthful women like you, are you already married? When are you marrying? Even men, some people ask those questions, and those are things that cause a lot of stress. Workloads and for sometimes lack of mobility. Maybe you're looking for a job and you're searching for a job and it's not coming by. You feel it's not coming by. And so that is not mobility. Mobility could also be like any terms of like for some of you who are already working or even internship, like you're earning the same amount of money. Since the other time, you're still earning the same amount of money. So there's no mobility. These things cause a lot of distress. So then we need to know the signs and symptoms of mental ill health. So when you're talking about the signs and symptoms, we could be thinking about many things, but I just wanted to be very practical and think about some of these things that you know, and some of these things that you can be able to identify. Is there a possibility that you have seen a situation whereby you have changed in terms of your eating habits, your sleeping habits, your dressing habits, your involvement patterns? Like you used to just eat well, but you have lost appetite, or somebody has just lost appetite, or you are overeating, overeating. Anytime you're sitting, you're taking tea, you're taking coffee, you're taking, you're eating this and you're not feeling it. Your stomach has stopped feeling, your mouth has stopped feeling, you're just doing it, you're just indulging. So that is a sign and symptom, a cry, a sensor that things are not well. So check out your eating habits. You can also check out your sleeping habits. You feel sleepy, you go to bed after 1 hour, 2 hours, sleep gone. So the whole night you are turning and wondering, what am I supposed to do with myself? Counting and listening to the birds outside and the people, motorists, that is a danger. Dressing habits. You used to maybe enjoy or love a particular form of dressing, but now you can pick anything, any t-shirt, any trouser, anything you can put on yourself and just run out or go. You don't think about dressing at all. You just wear things and go. By the way, dressing can tell you a lot about the mental wellness of a person. So dressing and grooming. I've seen clients whom have you have to really be patient with, because you look at from their head to their toes and you see distress. Because when you start getting depressed, you lose interest in self-care. You lose interest in choosing things or treating yourself well, because you are numb. And you see, when you're numb, you can easily dress badly or even misdress or underdress or not dress at all. So it happens time and again. Involvement patterns. Like, everybody has an involvement pattern. Like, I wake up like this, I do this, I do that. When the pattern starts to not to matter, that means that something is taking place. Yeah, something is happening. So check out your involvement pattern, and you should be able to just check out, do I have an involvement pattern? Everybody has some involvement pattern. Like this time, Ukimtaka, you will find them this particular place. This one, you may find them here. You do this. Sometimes even if you don't follow your pattern, you're like, what is it I haven't done? Oh, you're thinking like there's something that is missing out. So there is an involvement pattern. Then, of course, other signs and symptoms are irritability. You become very irritable. People are getting feedback, giving you feedback like, what is happening? Why are you so annoyed? Why did you answer like that? And you don't even know. You're just angry. You've been wondering, why are people happy? Why are people laughing? You don't seem to see anything good anywhere. Temper tantrums, overuse of defense mechanisms. Overuse of defense mechanisms, ladies and gentlemen, for some of us who have not done any psychology, you've seen people cry and cry and cry and cry and cry. We realize that you cry because you are hurt. And actually, it's a defense mechanism. Like, your ego is under attack. And when your ego is under attack, you look for a way out. And one of the ways out sometimes is to cry, and you feel better. And we call it a defense mechanism because defense mechanisms are irrational ways of dealing with issues, especially the ego dealing with issues. We've seen people even displaced. A lot of you, I'm sure, are just in internship and attachment and just joined work. You find a boss just comes and is just mad at you, and you think, what haven't I not done? Sometimes it's not even about you. It's about somebody else somewhere, but it's you who they're displacing on. And so you find that you can displace. I've seen people break phones, people even break things in the house. And those are signs that this is not well. And especially when there's overuse of defense mechanism, that anytime you're solving a conflict, you're breaking your phone, you're breaking cups, you're throwing tantrums, and you're just mad and hitting things, remember that is overuse of defense mechanism. And sometimes other defense mechanisms that you know about. And then, of course, there's overindulgence, like you drink a lot. Now that you drink, smoke a lot, or you just decide to go party after party, or you can just decide to close yourself in the room. Like you're overindulging, but like in the room, and you drink yourself silly. So then there's withdrawal. People don't want to relate anymore. You withdraw from social media. You've not posted on the status like for 1, 2, 3 days. You have nothing to post. Or when you post on the social status, you are seeking for attention. Some statement that will just come out of your heart, and it will be just something that people will be like, I have seen this on the status. And that is somehow how you also know about your friends. Check out that because you people use social media to post out or to cry for help, to seek for attention. And especially status, I normally call it attention deficit disorder syndrome. because for status, you're putting for other people to see. So if you check out, you will see, this one is crying for help based on what they're posting out there. The reason why I look at it that way is because I'm not able to check my status. I'm posting it for people to know. So I'm communicating to people. So I am seeking for attention. And sometimes it's positive attention, sometimes it's negative attention. So then absenteeism, you just decide you're not present on social media, not present talking to people, one answer, how are you, fine, hi, you're not there. And then you're oversensitive, you just oversensitive. You think the world is coming to an end anytime. You don't want even people to laugh. Like, why are you laughing? Why are you looking at me? What haven't, you're just protecting yourself. Those are signs and symptoms of stress and many other signs and symptoms. I just want to say all these things cause problem to every part of our body, beginning from our teeth to our soul. So remember, the headaches, the migraines, the anxiety, the anger, the stomach upset, the fatigue, the decreased sexual drive. For some of you who are married, you discover you can't perform. You are dead. The skin irritations, the muscle tension, sometimes even stress shows on our face. When we are under distress and mentally ill, you see the face and it's shouting, saying, something is not fine with me. And remember that because we are talking about mental illness, the sources, sometimes you are individual, sometimes it's from the outside. So you could be saying, I'm okay, I thought I'm okay, but you see you're okay, but what about the environment you are living in? What about the things that are coming from? What about your associations? What about others? The way you respond to those other things will also affect your body, even your face, even your skin, even your heart. So what are some of the effects of mental illness so that we can know how to manage? Emotional distress, remember, it will affect you emotionally. After a period of time, by the way, if you keep not treating the mental ill health, you will be a very angry person, full of anxiety, depressed, short-tempered, impatient, tense, name them. After some time, by the way, to revert becomes very difficult. That's why people end up into committing and completing suicide, because you become these things over the time. And then you can also think about the cognitive stress, cognitive distress. When you experience mental ill health and we're not treating, we end up into people who have panic attacks, very anxious, fearful, anticipation, poor concentration, memory issues. They affect us in a cognitive way. And then, of course, the relationship deteriorate. You know very well that if you have people close to you and they are distressed, they have mental illness, hata kama ni mild or moderate, you know what happens. They become very, 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 very hurtful. They are hurting you, yet you didn't even bleed on. They're bleeding on you, you didn't hurt them. So they become very, very stressful people to be with. And you can imagine a workplace or a home that is full of those people. It is a very stressful place to be in, become very toxic. So interpersonal relationships are affected. Then there's a physical relationship, physical reaction. You find that you have headaches, back pain, jaw pain, pulled muscles, tendons, ligament, stomach ache. You just have all those things. And sometimes you can develop diseases. Even you're talking about hypertension and ulcers, sometimes are related to the stress. Because 1 minute your heart is pumping so high, very fast. The next minute, so relaxed, confusing. The heart doesn't even know how to behave. And even sometimes the way we don't eat. And finally, we have a lot of acid in our stomach. We have wounds and things like that. So we can always remember that. Check out signs. Have you seen somebody who is very, very worried? Excessive paranoia, long-lasting sadness, extreme change in moods. 1 minute they're very happy, next minute they're very sad. What about the social withdrawal, dramatic changes, persistent thoughts of memories? Think about the hallucinations, false sensory perception. Hallucinations, they are seeing things, they are seeing people and things like that. Then the delusions, the false beliefs, I can't make it, I'll never get a job, I'm dying soon, I'll never get a relationship. Those are delusions. They are false beliefs about self. And these things can be hectic. So management, how do you manage? Number one is assessment. Remember, I talked to us about the sources. And so you have to place the mental illness to the cause. What is it that is causing what? If you place the management to the source, it will be very rich for you, so that you know that this is self. This is who I am. This is the reason as to why I'm experiencing this. Assessment means that you place the illness. It's like a diagnosis program for yourself before you seek for help. Be in this system every day. Remember, every other day, there are things that will happen to your life that will make you experience mild mental illness, moderate, or even severe. So depending on how we respond, and all of us are different, some of us respond to a mild thing in a very great way until when somebody else looks at it and say, hey, you mean you are reacting to this? This is very simple. You have not listened to mine. Mine is terrible. Don't ever judge. Just keep assessing yourself. Like, is this a mild distress I'm experiencing? Is this a mild mental illness? Is this moderate? Is it severe? So that you know where to do, what to do in terms of mild. How do I handle? Moderate, can I handle? Severe, I run for help. Then, as you do that, as you assess, think about it this way, that I am assessing the source to understand what it is. But assessment simply means that I'm looking at the signs and symptoms in my life and finding out whether I am okay. So it's okay to ask yourself, Rhoda, good morning, Rhoda. How are you today? What is it that would give you some eustress? What is it that will give you some distress? So that you know. If the assessment is true, then you'll be able to get the source of stress. And that is why you can say that I think it's my personality. Can I just calm down? Why do I think I must win all the wars? I can't fight all the battles. Not every battle is supposed to be fought. Some battles can be lost. I can choose my battles. I don't have to be a problem solver, left, right, and center. I can solve this thing. I can postpone this. I can seek for help. That is a result of assessment, day assessment. Number two, identify the stressors on a hierarchy. On a hierarchy. In everybody's life, including a small child, they have some mental mild illness, some stressor kidogo too, and the way they respond to it is what makes them sick or not. So can you identify the stressors? Like, for example, you have some form of stressors. Maybe you're listening to me, you are searching for a job, it's a stress. Maybe you are struggling with the relationship, is a stressor. Maybe you are trying to agree with your parents and you don't know how to, you don't know whether who is misunderstanding, who is a stress. Maybe another thing is that you're anxious looking for maybe some scholarship to learn, that's a stress. So these four things, can you put them in a hierarchy that you may know which one is causing more distress than the other one? Always live in a hierarchical manner. Like, I need to know what is the stressor number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then address the issues where possible on priority base. What is urgent and important? Address issues on priority base. If you have been a keen follower of social media, you've seen the people who post their suicidal notices on social platform. You'll see a mixture of things. Somebody is saying something about family, then job, then then where they're living, then what, then this, then that. They have a lot of people, a lot of things that they're dealing with. When you don't address issues, you based on urgent and important, you will not even know which one is more urgent than another one. People have died because of relationship, yet they have a loving family. You have a very loving family. They love you so much. But you meet there a boy outside there and you kill that boy and kill yourself. And you say, we will see. I'm going to die and you will die. So you can imagine if you only looked at the urgent and important issues and looked at life in wholesomeness, like issues as they come, priority, let me address them. I can't postpone and I cannot mix them up. Then learn to draw and keep boundaries. There's the power of no. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are raising up a generation of people who do not know the power of no, because you are rarely told no. You are never told no, or the no that you are told meant yes. But there's power in no. You can keep your boundaries. You can say no and learn to say no, and learn to accept no. There are only two things: yes and no. And what is the worst that can happen? So if you apply for jobs like 100 times, don't start counting, this is the 100th time I'm applying for a job. No, just know if it comes and it doesn't go through, it is no, and no is good. It gives you an opportunity to prepare again. And maybe no for a good yes. If you are told no in a relationship, dust yourself and just say, fine, I've been told no. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with life. And therefore, no is an answer. So learn to say no, learn to take in no, Learn to draw and keep boundaries. You put so much into something, if it backfires, it will hurt you. Today, I saw a vehicle that is written, it hurts because it matters. So if it matters, you need to find out how do you protect it. And then delegation, accept help, accept help, accept help, accept help in terms of what is it that I can give other people to help me do. You do that. Build immunity, sons and daughters or young people. You young people have an opportunity to build your immunity towards mental illness. How do you do this? Physically, like physical activities, called for picnics, you've been called for physical activities, running in the morning and keeping fit. You can be able to afford and go to the gym. You cannot just walk, take a walk, take up some running, skip some rope, take some physical immunity. Socially simply means that disconnect from any toxic environment. Those walls that are permanently there, even if it's alumni, even if it's a school alumni, but every time you open that wall, it is just matusi, abuses. Just please leave. Because you are a person, I've told you, it doesn't matter who is the stressor. As long as you consume distress, your body responds to it. You can actually die out of nothing in your vicinity. And people start wondering, she was so happy, she was a nice person, we didn't even believe she would end up like this. Yet the things that are killing you have nothing to do with you, have everything to do with your associations. So associations, you can never rise above your associations. Socially disconnect from toxicity. If people are not adding value to you, stop thinking that you have 100 or 1 million followers. If they don't add value to you, if they're toxic in a manner, disconnect. Economically, ladies and gentlemen, build immunity economically. Find something to do. Don't do nothing. Find something to do. A skill you can learn. Begin from somewhere. I know that some of you have degrees and you are looking forward to very big jobs. We all began small. We all began somewhere. I've always told people like me, I used to make mandazis. I used to be known as Roda Mandazi because that is what I could do at that particular time. Today, I just don't even eat mandazi easy because I am not even a fan. But there's a time that was my source of income because I knew that I needed this kind of money. Some of you can make soap. Some of you can do makeup. Some of you can do online jobs. Some of you can begin some kinyosis. Some of you can rear things. Some of you can do something. Ask yourself tonight, what am I doing enough? And don't do one job. Don't do one job. Don't do one job. Do this and do this and do this. Kenya does not have a capacity for people doing one job. I don't know about Uganda, maybe they'll tell us, but you need to do so much. Then spiritually, even if you don't know God, even if you are related to God by extension, please find yourself somewhere you can listen to music therapeutically, the word of God, and just be there. You mean spiritually. Some of these things you're fighting with can only be fought spiritually. So you can build your immunity. Sometimes you may need to be in the spiritual world to understand mental wellness and that God cares about your mental wellness. Actually, there's so much about the word of God that tells you about mental illness. You call unto him and he's there. A permanent person that can only be there is God. And so build your immunity. Don't wait to be sick. Immunity, when you're building immunity, you're simply saying, in the event these things come, they'll find me strong. You've seen a kid who has good immunity, even if they're under attack, they just shake a little bit and they get back, they bounce back. But when a person has very low immunity, any attack, even if you just blew, like, they die. And so what you're saying is that you need to build immunity towards a mental wellness as a technique which everybody must learn, old and young. We must all build immunities. Why are people just dying and dying and dying and dying out of depression? Because our immunity, the immunity is not there. It is not there. They have lost hope completely because nothing, not physical, not social, not economical, not spiritual faculties of their lives are functioning. And economically, guys, young men and women, get out of loans. Stop lizarding, getting loans that you don't need. You don't need to always be on an up loan for you to survive. Just draw some budget and live within your budget. Don't worry. Someday you'll have to live the way you want in whatever. And then we can also talk about setting goals, short-term and long-term goals, the ones that are realistic goals. What is it that we all know we have patterns of growth, but we can't compete Everybody has to set some goals. Some of these distresses and mental illness come from sometimes goals that are not set. You know, you can have goals, personal goals, but they're not set. You're just having them haphazardly and random. Tell yourself like this: in the next 3 months, I want to do this. In the next 6 months, those are what you call short goals. You can even set short goals per day, per week, and assess them. And pat yourself, have a pat at the back. Wow, Rhoda, you have done well. You plan to do this and you have done it. And so have the long-term goals too. And the long-term goals based on how realistic. Somebody graduated the other day, you want to buy a vehicle today, really cannot happen. Does not happen like that. You begin from somewhere. You have to do some savings, and you have to maybe find out what is this that you need. Do you need a car now? Maybe you don't. Maybe you first of all need to do this and that. Some of us are even on help loans. Maybe you need to clear your help loan. Maybe you need to get yourself a place where you can call home. You know, basic needs are real, but set some long terms and short term goals. When you have you are dating, are you getting married today? Why are you dating like you're doing PhD? You're dating forever, 10 years. Do you think this is a platform for even distress? So you can ask yourself, detach from unidentified toxic scenes and people, including on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, please detach and attach to those pleasant, everybody has a music, some song that feels good. Detach, toka kwa those toxic scenes, violent movies, violent talks, emotional, hurtful scenes, cheering toxic scenes. Just detach. Just say no goes on. I told you keep a boundary, so just say no goes on. No goes on. No goes on. Exercise, I've told you. Change how you perceive things. If you are through tamarking, you are going through that period where you're looking for a job. You could be on one job, maybe you're looking for another one. Can you perceive can you change how you perceive things? There are people who say, this country has no jobs, I will never be stable, things are tough, economy is bad, things are rough, relationship do not work. Can you start perceiving that my relationship is gonna work? I am gonna get a job. I am gonna be this. Can you change how you perceive things? If things are tough, don't start saying, I am very broke. You could just say, I'm financially off peak. Can you change how you perceive things? You could just be off peak, not necessarily broken, because broken is broken. You need help to be mended. But when you're off peak, you can get on peak. Just change how you perceive things. And sometimes stop feeling woye for yourself, even when you're seeking for a job. Don't go and give the employers that if you don't employ me, I'll die. Would make them feel like the skills you have are very, very, very. Actually, the company gonna lose out if they see you or they allow you walk out without having you. That courage. Dress well for some of these interviews. Dress well 24 hours, because you do not know who is your next employer, who is your next client. Because clients simply means you could sell them something. They could. You could sell stuff. You could market something. You could network. So dress well. These things of wearing ragged trousers with holes everywhere, and bad shoes, Crocs and socks should be left for adolescents. When you finally finish college, you stop being an adolescent. You move from that. Trousers with holes on the knees and down there, and cut, and t-shirts that have been written Greek things you cannot understand, and then you wear these pullovers that have the kofia ones, and then Crocs and socks. Those are adolescent dresses. Dress well. You just never know where you can meet a potential network. So that is important. Reduce peer pressure. Stop comparing yourself like, hey, so-and-so is already married, so-and-so is already in Germany, I am still in Kenya. Learn some congruous skill. Congruous skills like, I am okay where I am at this particular place. I'm doing something. And I've told you, because you'll be learning some skill to help you, get some money. You're the cheerleader in your life. Say, well done, Rhoda. Well done. You have made 10 bob. You have made 20 bob. Don't make nothing in a week. Make some money. Get some skill and do something. Start from somewhere. Learn a skill. Don't be ashamed about it. Even if it's just washing a car, you can learn how to wash a car. You can join the car washers and just wash it. And wash it at a particular, in a particular way that, you can look at and say, this is now me. This is me. I have left here some mark. Exercise some self-care. Self-care simply means that you take care of yourself. Stop wearing socks that are torn. Stop wearing underwears that are torn. Stop wearing vests that you don't know the color. They used to be white, but because you've not been washing them, they've turned brown. Stop wearing braziers that are torn. Stop wearing, anything torn causes poverty to you. So stop wearing things that are torn, because they attract stress. Declutter your life and space. If you have small clothes and what, give them out. Small shoes, give them out. Declutter. Old friends who are always toxic coming back looking for you because they want to join you in a WhatsApp, just delete their numbers and just block them. Declutter. An ex who keeps going and coming, declutter them. Declutter your life. Just declutter means remove takataka from your life. Somebody cannot be coming to your life and going and coming and going and coming and going like rain. If you fell out in a relationship, forget about it like a bad season. Don't keep saying, babe, you can still come back. We talk about what? This is not a marriage, it's a relationship. Relationships, you do not stay in a toxic place. Two cannot work together unless they agree. That is the Bible, Amos 3:3. You can also seek for help. Seek for help means you can debrief with a friend, you can benchmark with a friend, you can compare notes, but you can also seek for therapy. Speak to somebody. The youth, speak to somebody. Now there's even AI, whatever, that you can ask a few things and they can connect you to therapists. But I believe that you need, somebody. It could be a church level. They don't have to be qualified counselors like me. It can be a church level. It must be somebody you can say hi and begin from anywhere. Where you live in the community, don't die, don't give up. You can't throw in the towel. There must be somebody that you can talk to. You can talk to a mentor. Have mentors in your life. By the way, one way I have managed stress over my life is I have mentors. I can check out with them. And I have academic mentors. When I have academic stress, I just call and say, this is my stress. This is how I feel. And they'll be like, relax. Now, let me tell you where you are. They lift you up from one place to another. I have social mentors. When I feel my social life is getting me to distress, I can call and say, I need to talk. I need to take tea. And we go out and take tea. And I pour. And they listen to me and they tell me, okay, now, Rhoda, I hear you. What about this? What about, have you tried this? What about do this? I have spiritual mentors who can call and say, yes, let us pray. Let us really close your eyes from that end, or can tell me, can you read this? Can you read? Or just keep quiet, just stay put. I'll put you in the hands of God. I have mentors. I have even family mentors, people that I look up to. Young people, if you want to go places, you attach your hand to somebody who has been there. And even if they have made their own mistakes, now they know better. They will avoid those mistakes as they lead you to that direction. And so it's important for you to know that one good way of being able to manage mental wellness is to have mentors. I have a lot of things I could say, but let me stop there and say this. The wise say the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. It is not stress that kills us, it is the reaction to it. And so this is done by James Williams. Be very careful about how you react to your mental ill health. 90% of what you are stressing about right now won't even matter a year from now. Take a deep breath. Some of you are students. You remember how you are dying out of anxiety? Does it matter anymore? It doesn't. Who says that? Mel Robbins. Then there's another one. When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with the wind. I love this, said by Henry Ford. It is true that some of us could be having a lot of distress because of 1, 2, 3, but the plane is just taking off. As it takes off against the wind. You'll feel a little bit of confrontation, feel a little bit of resistance. Sometimes it's not very easy to penetrate to a job market, but finally you will land. And when you do that, you'll remember what Mel Robbins said, that whatever is stressing you may not even matter later on. If you experience it, you will know. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. So you can also put yourself in a position of power that, yes, I am a human being. I have a choice to be sad, to be bitter. I have a choice to go under, but I have a choice to raise up. I have a choice to counterattack this by my attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, remember always to say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. For example, families, you may not change. You may not change so much how you look like. You may not change so much your environment where you grew in, but you see what? The courage to change the things that I can change. Ladies and gentlemen, you can change the relationships. If you are in a toxic relationship, you can jump out. You can change even the job you're doing. You can change the academic qualifications that you are in. You can go back to school, do your degree, do your master's, do your PhD, come back and start again certificate, go again, do a diploma. You can change. You have the courage to change that. You can change even the country where you live in. You can change the friends you have. Can you have the courage to change the things and the wisdom to know the differences? So you know that this one is not going to kill me. I'm not going to die because of a boy or a girl. I'm not going to die because I must laugh the last. Personalities can make us die. So know the wisdom, have the wisdom to know the differences. And I believe that that is important. Of course, being a child of God, I will tell you this: whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, and if there's any excellence, if there's anything worth your praise, think about these things. Paul tells the Philippians that the Lord God bless you even as I start to look at your questions and interact with you. Thank you. Back to you, Achieng.
Daktari. How do I say? That was quite a powerful session. And we've learned and learned and learned. Thank you for taking your time to create these slides and giving us your time. So we have some few questions from the chat box. I'll begin with Patrick Mwendwa. Number one, how can individuals identify and address workplace stress before it impacts their productivity and well-being? So I don't know, do I read all the questions like at once from the same person, or I can read them when you respond?
Have you identified two questions that are similar?
Yeah, I think this is about, it's work related. Then there are a few here. I'll just mention them as, I'll read them as Nini, as we go on.
Yeah, so how can you identify?
How can individuals identify and address workplace stress before it impacts their productivity and well-being?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me address the work-related stress. And especially most of you are young, stepping out into the workplace, and you'll discover that one place that can be toxic is workplace. The reason why workplace can be toxic is because at workplace, most of us, and even if you deal with machines, you'll still deal with people. And people, this is the place where people stay for long. And of course, you go home, but maybe most of you 8 to 5 or something like that, you are at workplace, and you're meeting people of different personalities, but they also come to you as you are working together. They come to you from different places. They also have their own issues. So it's like everybody bringing their issue at workplace. And one way of identifying stressors at workplace is finding out, like, at the end of the day, how are you feeling about what you're doing? Because the job itself can be a stressor. The job itself, the responsibility you're given like this can be a stressor, but also the people around you can be stressors. So identify, first of all, what is it that is stressing you? Is it the job, or are they the people? If it's the job, ask yourself, are you prepared for this? Because some of us, much as we have been trained, we find ourselves in places whereby the things we're supposed to do are not what we are trained. So can you learn the skill? Are you ready to do this? Is this like, for example, must you stay here? Because sometimes this is what we have. So we must learn the skills and persevere. Not all job requirements are meant to kill us. Some of them are better because they prepare us for the world and they make us better. By the way, you're as good as the places you did attachment or the places that you experience work at first place. And so some places are good for you. But then now, after you have done that, identify, see how you can learn the skill. But as for the people, you know that they're toxic, especially when you find that at the end of the day, you're more sad. You don't have the energy to go and meet them. You are more sad to be with them than you are happy to be with them. So how would you deal with that? Number one, as much as possible, remember the job responsibilities. Everybody is given assignment. Do your assignment. Number two, keep a boundary. Don't be so open, and don't be ready to get into people's life. Be professional on how you're dealing with them. And as much as possible, remember to treat them with dignity and respect, because these are colleagues. You need to know the difference between colleagues and family. Colleague family and family. know the difference. And so keep a boundary. And as much as you're keeping a boundary, also, as much as possible, treat people the way you would have loved them to treat you. If you want to be treated with dignity, please treat others with dignity. So professionalism, don't get so casual with them, don't get so close to them, keep a boundary, and make sure that at the end of the day, you are just working towards the goal of the organization. That does not mean that you become sad or you become moody. It simply means that you can be professional. And when you're professional, you reduce the stress at workplace. And when you have boundaries, people know that there are things they can't say next to you. There are games they can't play with you. There are deals they can't do with you. You'll become a safe person. And when you experience opposition because of doing things that are of standing with integrity, just know it's okay. That is just a test of the time for you to know that then I'm different. And that does not mean that that is going to eliminate you. So it's easy for you to deal with the stress at workplace. But more than anything, young people today learn professionalism. Professionalism will sustain you in the job industry.
Thank you, Doc. We have another question here.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked, what brings about collapse or death in the case of eustress?
For eustress, sometimes it is about the vulnerability of the person listening to the news. And it is rare because eustress is good stress. But you see, your body responds the same way. I do not know if there's anybody listening to me here who has even wedded. You will find that you are wedding tomorrow and you can't sleep. And you are wedding. Wedding is a good thing, you're marrying, but you can't sleep. And see your body, without sleep, it will again respond or react to the lack of sleep. Lack of sleep can cause you to be sick. And you see, if you're not sleeping for the last 1 week because you're wedding today, you can easily end up sick. And that's why you find that many people around the groom and bride want them to relax as much as possible because they are anxious. Will it be okay? What will happen? Even if somebody like today just gave you 100 million and put in your account, what are 100? 1 million, you may not sleep. So you respond the same way. But sometimes some people are very are different. They are vulnerable. We respond to distress differently. There are people who have a particular capacity to deal with so much. There are people who cannot deal with so much. So sometimes that can cause that, and even sometimes the conditions, health conditions, like somebody who is hypertensive. I know of a woman who was hypertensive and almost died because of good news. Just because of good news, almost died, but never died. So sometimes that condition, because then you find that they can't take in so much, was what can kill you, not necessarily the news itself.
Okay, great. There is a question on trauma. How does one deal with childhood trauma? And how do you uncover childhood trauma? And also, how do you deal with such trauma without venting?
Okay. A lot of people are living with childhood trauma. Trauma is a reaction, a result of something that happened, a painful event that happened to you, and that you're still holding it in your unconscious, and it's causing distress. For example, you watched a painful scene, an accident scene. Some of us have gone through violence, like emotional, physical, maybe some defilement, and it is really, really terrible. And it's kept in our unconscious. So it keeps bringing pain. I've met people who cannot have relationships at all because of the things they experienced when they were children. Now, what you need to do is this. I find out, do you have an experience at childhood that is so severe, that is so painful, that is causing pain anytime you think about it? Identify the trauma, first of all. I know people who have been defiled. I know people whose parents separated. And because of that, they have lived with a lot of pain. And it's causing a lot of pain. So they don't want to marry. Why don't they want to marry? Because they don't care about marriage. After all, their parents separated and things like that. Or they don't want to live with a particular sex because of what they went through. How to deal with trauma? Number one, identify the traumatic whatever. Number two, as much as possible, ask yourself, is this something you can deal with, or do you need help? Because some traumatic events that cause post-traumatic disorders can be dealt by your acceptance that this thing happened and choosing to take the skills of dealing with it. We can deal with trauma. We all have the ability to deal with trauma. When it is severe, seek for help. So how do you deal with it? I've agreed that maybe I was defiled when I was young. So now I realize that I don't want to deal with men or even women or something of the sort. So I accept it, but I ask myself, how is it even affecting me now? I look at the pros and cons of carrying it. Sometimes the consequences is because the consequences are more like painful. I'm never going to have a family. I don't want to have children. I don't, they're affecting me more. So if it is not worth carrying it, then I look for techniques to let it go. If I fear men so much, I can accept, I begin to associate with a few friends who are of the male sex to just neutralize the fear. I am attacking this problem by allowing myself to know also that they are also good men. They are also brothers in the world, as much as they are also enemies in the world. So you can use that. Kidogo kidogo, you'll begin to realize that not all men are bad. Not all men are dogs. Not all men are evil. And then you can now see how to relate. So all traumatic events can be treated, but by first of all, you identifying and then finding out how is the weight of this and see if this is going to use Panadol or is it going for antibiotics. Panadol means I can deal with it. Antibiotics means I can seek for help. A counselor like me will use therapeutic ways, theories, therapeutic techniques to help you walk out of trauma. So find one near you. You'll be surprised at how easy it is. I've worked with people out of traumatic events, so I know that it is easy for you to do that.
Nice. So Doc, while doing your presentation, you mentioned personality dynamics. I'm seeing our time is, but allow me extend for about 10 minutes. Personality dynamics, you talked about cholerism, melancholy, phlegmatic, sanguine, and somebody might be asking themselves, how do you know your personality? So if you can kindly unpack on personality dynamics in just 3 minutes, Evie, we'll appreciate. Thank you. Back to you.
So I'm also concerned about, before I talk about personality, somebody is asking to everyone, how do you support someone you can tell is stressed but does not accept that he is or she is? Secondly, what can one do if the stresses around you are not easy to change, yet living is not an option? So I would really even be interested to know what is this, what kind of stress is it that you cannot change? Because I believe that there must be something that can be done about it. But let me say this. When you identify people around you, because I began by saying our family members, our friends could be stressed out. By the way, a person who is sick may not even know they are sick, because I said that stress is a little bit dynamic, complex, so that when somebody is mentally ill, they may not say, I am ill. Or even if they are ill, even if you are ill, they will deny, because it has stigma. People think that mental illness is supposed to be very, very evil. It's almost mental disorder. That is where the problem is. So why don't you, instead of just telling the person you are distressed, why don't you connect the person with help? You are a helper, by the way. Find out, you can identify. You don't have to tell me that you know that you're mentally ill. You just tell me that you have changed. I realize that you are not even responding to messages. And by the way, I've realized you've lost interest in the, I want to take you out for tea. I realize you've lost interest. I realize, what is it that is going on? You don't have to use the word stress. Could you share with me what is it? Because the sharing is almost half of healing. The fact that I'm telling you, the things I've gone through, now talk to me, let me listen. And sometimes when you repeat those things to the person that they're telling you, we call it paraphrasing, they're surprised, I told you that. You mean I was dying because of that? You can help. You be the helper. Wacha kumwambia you are sick. You tell them, you be the helper. Number two, there are things that can change. You write them down. What is it that you think you can change? And what do you mean by living? Because sometimes we imagine, let me give you a scenario, a relationship. Somebody gets into a relationship, and then this person discovers that the other person is cheating on them, and they're not married. And then the person says, because I've been with this person for the last 5 years, I've invested so much, I'm not leaving. I can't leave this particular person. It is called selfishness. You are very selfish, but you know you're selfish to yourself. Because if you have discovered somebody is cheating on you and you are not married, it simply means that the two of you have different goals. Because the person cheating is you can't change the person cheating. The person cheating has no mistake. They are living their own life. That is the life they understand. They didn't even They're not very, very sure that you are the person they want to marry. That's why they're living their life. But you had a different purpose. You wanted an honest person, you wanted a marriage. And so the two of you are on different roads. One going to Nakuru, another going to Kisumu. You are not living together. It simply means get somebody that you can be together. We want to get married because nobody is cheating when they want to get married. If cheating comes in later on, it's a different scenario. But on the road to marriage, somebody will be very careful to have this particular person as a spouse. Personalities, you can assess yourself, ladies and gentlemen. There are instruments of personalities which you can download. A good one is temperament, the temperament personality tool. When you download it, you can assess yourself. It gives you 4 categories. And those 4 categories, you can find out, am I outgoing? Am I introverted? And then, am I choleric? Then find out the Google out, what are some of the characteristics of a melancholy person? What about a choleric? What about a phlegmatic? Where I am? Where are the strengths? As a person, I have strength in my personality. I have weaknesses. But find out if you are disordered, like you're extremely into these particular things. But also you can get to be assessed by the nearest therapist. Any therapist can help you assess. There are many, many tools. I love that one because it talks about emotions. You use the emotions and the desires and the things that you need to do to accomplish your needs. So you can assess your personality and know who you are. Please, before you meet people, before you get into marriage, before you give birth, or even as you're giving birth, as you're dating, if there's one thing you can do yourself favor is know who you are. Know who you are. Know your personality. That you may be able to know, this is me. When you're about to take rat and rat, you know, I am a candidate. I need to slow down. You need to know that I don't have to win all the battles, because sometimes you're not sleeping because you lost something. You got a regret for an interview, or you missed out on a job. So you're not sleeping for 3 days. You're not even bathing. But if you know you're choleric, you say, calm down, breathe in, breathe out. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just sleep. It's okay. So you will know who you are. Sometimes if you're phlegmatic, you'll be telling yourself, I'm a phlegmatic. I need to get out of there. I need to have I need to laugh. I need to go to TikTok. Phlegmatics don't even go to TikTok. I need to go to TikTok and laugh a little bit. I need to call a few friends. Why? If I don't, I am a phlegmatic. I may forget about everything and everybody. Before I know it, everybody would have forgot about me. So you can always do that. I know this is something that we cannot even finish in one session, but I'm just thinking like, can you pick something and run with it? You are there. You can help yourself and you can help another person next to you. I believe mental wellness is something that all of us must approach with the, with energy and vigorousness that, that will just create an impact. Thank you.
Oh, asante, Daktari. I'm just winding up. There is somebody who has asked, I'm with a youth accused of having sexual intercourse with some mad lady. The boy is dying. How do you help? He's getting depressed.
Sorry?
The question is, I'm with a youth accused of having sexual intercourse with some mad lady. The lady is mad. The boy is dying. How do we help? He's getting depressed.
Now, thank you that you have already done some diagnosis, and you know that the boy is depressed and is accused. And so one thing is for sure is that, first of all, provide a shoulder for this particular boy to lean on. Listen, everybody's judging this particular boy. You may, even if she did it, please don't judge him. Listen to him. And then walk with him out of this, because you are saying accused, which means it could be true, it may not be true. But now, whether it is true or not, that is not the point. The point is this: did this really happen? And if it happened, what are the consequences of it? If it did not happen and he's being accused, what made him being accused? Because nobody wakes up and say, oh, you did this. There must have been some things around this particular person which he needs to disconnect, disconnect, that is causing him this particular accusation. So help him for a long-lasting solution, not a short time, because you can't even walk with a peg here, I never did this. But there must be reasons why he's being accused, or if he did it, there could be things that triggered him to do this, maybe drugs, you never know. You're dealing with a serious case more than what you're thinking. But the most important thing, provide a shoulder for him to lean on, let him speak out the truth, and ask him to employ techniques that will help him even forgive, first of all, reconcile this with himself, and then forgive other people for him to be able to live on. Remember immunity. When you have zero immunity, you'll die for anything. But when you have built your immunity, kama huyu kijana unaweza kumassociate na watu ambao watamu encourage, watamuombea, physical immunity. Immunity really sorts out when it comes to such kind of situations.
Thank you, Doc. The last question as we finalize. Somebody asked, is oversleeping a sign of mental health? Is crying okay? Is self-talk a sign of mental illness? And how does one handle matters when they don't have anyone to speak to? I think I've just summarized the questions.
Let me begin with the last one.
Okay.
The last one is when you don't have anybody to speak to, you can write down. Please write journals and journals. I have them. I love sometimes some things that would really give me anxiety. Today, an exam can give you anxiety. 2 years later, you're like, really? Remember that day I didn't even sleep, and you're writing. Today, I'm not even able to sleep because I'm reading, I'm not understanding. I don't know about what will happen tomorrow's paper. I don't have any content. You're writing down because you have nobody to talk to. 3 years later, when you read that you didn't have content, you really laugh about it. But oversleeping is a sign of mental illness. Why are you oversleeping? There could be a reason as to why you're oversleeping. One, you have nothing to do. Two, you are trying to like escape from something. And 3, you are being lazy. And so as you are going through oversleeping, why are you oversleeping? There must be a reason why in this country people do not oversleep, and youth should not even oversleep. That time you're using for sleeping, you should do something about it. So remember that. Have you changed sleep patterns? Because oversleeping can be interpreted like I slept late and therefore I'm sleeping up to 9. Whose house are you sleeping up to 9? Even your own house, when you're paying rent, you should not sleep up to 9. Not when you are still poor. You need to wake up and go on TikTok and create a content about how to guide youths on LGBTQ. Write something. Do something. I mean, you can collect clothes in the neighborhood and wash for a fee. Why are you oversleeping? You can take a djembe and plant vegetables. It is wrong to oversleep. Even the Bible says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come to your door. Number 2, self-talk is good, but don't overtalk to yourself. By the way, self-talk is good. It's good to tell yourself, Rhoda, how are you today? Especially when you're showering. When you wake up and you're showering, just interact with yourself. Oh, how are you today? How are you feeling? So what's up this particular morning? What's the worst that can happen? Just talk to yourself. But don't talk to yourself all the time. That is a serious mental illness. Every time you're like, oh, Rhoda, now you see that? Now calm down. Now, Rhoda, calm down. It simply means that there's something wrong. But self-talk is good. Have a self-meeting where you're the chair and the secretary of the meeting. And you can say, we're bringing the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, can you read the agenda? Agenda today is finances. Nico broke. Nico financially off peak. So yes, agenda financially off peak. So how do we make money? Look at the expenditure that you did last month. Most of the things you spent on money, you don't even need them. Only half of them could what you need. And also learn to say no. Don't think you're a World Bank. Everything you think you can do, all things, because Christ has strengthened you. You need to be able to have a sense of boundary. I can't do this, I may not do this. And crying is okay, but don't overcry. Sometimes go to the shower. Cry as you shower. Cry, cry, cry. As you pour, even if you're using a basin, as you pour water on yourself, you're crying. When you finish, wipe everything and you have calmed down. But don't cry. Somebody say, I love you, you're crying. You are crying. You are broke, you are crying. You don't have rent, you are crying. You cannot cry like that. That is called, it is now overused defense mechanism. You are now what we call regression. It's too much. It becomes too serious. And please have something you can watch. Some of you are just watching TikTok of things that are depressing. Watu wakitukanana. Sazile nyako wametukana mtu, that's when you're going to watch. Can you watch something that is interesting? Something that can make you laugh. Calm down. In a day, you need to laugh a little bit. It is a stress mechanism, an art for managing stress.
Okay, kuna mtu ameuliza tu ya mwisho, hamjongelea the people who don't cry. Just summarize as we wind up.
The people who don't cry, not everybody must cry. The people who don't cry, people have ways of venting out, like writing down, talking to people. And sometimes our personalities, like I've told you, a very good example of phlegmatics, they don't show emotions. So they may be dying inside, but they're not crying. Now, hakuna ubaya if you don't cry. I'm not saying people start crying now. I'm just saying that it's one way that can help you to manage stress. But even as you do that, it's important for you to know that even if you're not crying, even talking to somebody is a form of crying without tears. If you just go, people complain a lot. You know, my shoes, hey, my job, hey, my kitchen, oh, my rice burnt. They're also just crying without tears. So you can find your own form of crying to relieve your stress, to move out of a particular place whereby you're emotionally distressed. So you don't have to cry on the road. People say, hey, they are crying. You can even cry on paper. You can say, hey, as you're writing, oh, this clothes, oh, I am too fat. Oh, you can just cry on paper. It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. With your permission, can I share your contact? Because I'm seeing the participants, kila mtu anauliza your email or your contact.
I don't know the
sure,
participants. My dear, I don't know the participants. You didn't introduce me to the participants, so you want to share my contact.
Because I'm sure
Anyway.
you are not so active on social media. Umesema hiyo ni attention-seeking disorder.
Especially status, it is. Come down on it, reduce the status. You don't have to view people's status every day, and you don't have to post your status every day, especially if it is a way of communicating to an ex or an employer that is bad. You can reduce on that, because the status, it's not you who is seeing, it is other people. And then imagine you put your status and nobody's liking. And then in the evening now you are not sleeping because people have not liked, or only 2 people have liked. And the next day, nobody has even watched or viewed your status. Then now you are taking Panadol and Piriton to sleep because nobody viewed your status. Status is good. It's a way of communicating, but don't get addicted to status. And, and Rehema, without forgetting, as you post your photos, you need to know adolescence types of posing and mature type of posing. When you're still posing with your boobs out and your behinds in a camel shape, just know that you need to grow out of adolescence stage, because that is called fixation. You still want to show physical features that are growing left, right, and center. When you get into maturity, you'll discover that you love yourself, contain yourself, and you find that you are beautifully just posing anywhere. Any pose you take is just accepted because you are good. But when you want to prove a point, you have to stand in a way that, like a camel, and you have to put your boobs out, and you have to, you have to put your fingers everywhere else. It's called fixation. We just know you have not grown through adolescence.
Hey, thank you for the injection. So how do the participants engage with you if they want to reach you for further?
You can give them my number, but they can call. Remember, I'm not into, because I don't like toxicity, so I don't chat throughout. You know that. I believe you know that. But they can call, and then we can talk. Yeah.
Okay.
So tell them the best is to call me. Even if you don't have credit, I'll call back, and then we chat.
Okay. So you can follow us on our social media pages at Tolchoke Mentorship Program on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we can engage further. I shared my Lynette Otieno. Our time is not on our side, but now that you're insisting, I'm trying to wind up. Daktari ya mwisho, do different attachment styles affect our relationships and influence our stress patterns?
Sorry?
Lynette Otieno is asking, do different attachment styles affect our relationships and influence our stress patterns?
Yes, of course, different attachment styles cause a lot of impact differently on us, because you can't give what you don't have. So if given one particular attachment style, especially as you are raising up, you're being raised up, you'll discover that will impact on you so badly. So, for example, let me just give a quick example. If you're raised up by a single parent, you may not understand how and then you don't grow up with the other sexes. You may not understand what the other sexes thinks like or behaves like. And so you'll discover that you are bound to have prejudices over the other sex until when you have this particular sex in your life. That is when you will begin to know. And for example, for some of you who have been to campus, you'll discover that a lot of first years get in like this and they get pregnant. Most of them are from single parented families, and especially girls, because you come and then a boy tells you, oh, I love you so much, and you're seeing your father. So you give yourself out like, Daddy, please take me. Kumbe, this is a man. And before you know it, you're pregnant. We have done that kind of survey, and we have seen that it affects a lot of people from single parented families than people who are parented by both families. So different attachment styles will definitely cause different impacts on people, and they are therefore making people more vulnerable to stress than others. When you are an adult, please, the things you consume, the places you be must be intentional, because you do not have any, you did not have any say raising yourself up. But now that you are here, now and then, you need to know that you can actually empty pain and fill the spaces with joy by where you go, what you do, whom you are talking to, and what you're consuming. God bless you so much.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Thank you for accepting the call to speak to these young people. And it's been a very engaging session. We appreciate your time, your commitment. Thank you to all our participants who joined us today. I would love to welcome the patron to give the closing remarks as we wind up. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Hema, Daktari, and everyone. Good evening. Mine is to just briefly thank you, Daktari, very heartily for taking your time to speak to us on such an important topic in this time and age when almost all of us are battling with one form or another of mental issues and mental concerns. And I think no one could have put the topic and the discussion in a better way than we've done. So, asante sana. And to all of us that have joined, thank you sana for taking your time. Please feel welcome. We've been doing this series of webinars for some time now. We'll continue to do them over the next couple of months on different technical issues. And we encourage you to keep following us so that we build a community of resilience, a community that will support each other. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. So we are going to share a recording of this webinar, and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. I'll share the link to the YouTube channel once we've uploaded. Tunawashukuru sana for joining us. And like we do every day as we conclude our meeting, so kila mtu, everyone will put the video on, and we'll take some pictures, and you smile. Yes. So naomba kila mmoja wetu afungue video. Trying to open my. Just a minute. Okay, so let's smile.